Let's go, Venezuela!
Welcome back to the series about trying to lower my personal best marathon time down through the year to hopefully under 220, ideally closer to 215, but I guess we'll see. But last time I shared I was in Flagstaff, and I mentioned in that video that I'd be running a mile sometime in June. And I did race a mile 2 nights ago in Chicago, and it went reasonably well. If you're wondering where I am, I'm actually in the studio of a friend, Eric Floberg, who many of you might know. He has done his own YouTube channel for some time now, and I joined him at the Boston Marathon, and stoked to have both Eric and Cyrus help me with this video series moving forward. So this will be all of a sudden a lot more professional probably than it has been. So I appreciate you guys joining and helping me out with this series.
What's up?
So on Saturday evening, I went out to a little bit west of the city in Chicago to race a race called the Magis Mile, which was a race that my coach that's been helping me out from Second City Track Club, Michael, suggested that I run. I was originally hoping to run a mile sort of closer to the middle to the end of June, but my travel schedule through the end of June is going to be a little bit difficult to make a mile work. So this weekend worked really well. I don't feel like I was fully prepared to hit the mile race just yet, but nonetheless, I was able to put together about 2.5 months of pretty decent speed work leading into this mile. My volume, as I mentioned on the last video, was a little bit lower than I probably would have liked over the last couple of months. Partly, to be honest, just out of laziness. And I've noticed in my own self that I find it pretty difficult to train as much as I would like and really prioritize my own training until I'm about 10 weeks before a race. And I feel like now with the key race, at least leading into the marathon, being a 5K in the middle of July, on the 12th of July, which we'll speak a little bit more about later. Now I'm within that period of time, so I'm now a little bit more disciplined, able to take this sort of to the next level with my own training in terms of doing a bit more running through the week. And even the times that I'm seeing on Strava and on Stride application, like the durations of time that I'm spending training through the week, have been a little bit lower than I would have liked. Normally I'm sort of seeing 10, 11, 12 hours. It's typically been 6 to 8 hours over the last few months. So I really want to try and increase that up to at least sort of 10 hours of running through the week. But nonetheless, this mile race went reasonably well for me. I sort of went into this with the idea of not necessarily focusing too much on a specific time to hit, even though I made it pretty clear in couple of podcasts and a video earlier on in the year that I'd like to run close to 410 or ideally a little bit under 410. I went into this race thinking I don't think 410 is going to be possible, but maybe under 415. But my primary sort of hope for this race was to get in there and race it well and actually just compete and try and place as high as I possibly can. No real specific time goal today. I mean, I've said that 410 this year would be good at some point before the marathon period starts, but I'm looking forward today because the field's so strong, at least on paper it's very strong. I'm looking forward to just racing it and getting in there and just sort of forgetting about the time, not really worrying about splits, and just trying to place as high as I possibly can. I think my seed time is probably one of the slowest in the field, it seems like, because there's a bunch of guys between 4:02 and 4:10, and I don't think I'm in sub 4:10 shape right now. Hopefully by July. I'd probably guess it to be more like 4:15, but let's find out. But I want to run a race today that I feel afterwards that I'm happy with how I executed on the race, how I raced it, how I got in there and beat people, and I really hope in the last lap I can pass a few people. That's what I'm hoping. So that will require being a little bit conservative at the start. So I told Reem on the way here that don't be too concerned if I'm last or towards the very back at the start. That'll be the intention. So yeah, looking forward to it because I did a lot of these races back when I was younger, 800 and 1500, mostly 800. I think I ran maybe 4 or 5 1500s back between 2006 and 2013 when I was focusing on middle distance. And it's cool to come back and roll the dice again, but I probably will be the oldest in the field by 10 years maybe, because I think most of these kids are college kids or at least in their 20s, so it'll be fun. But it's been raining all day, but I'm very glad that it's stopped now and it's calmed down. So yeah, conditions are pretty good and looking forward to getting out there and having fun. Yeah. I'll keep a little bit of an eye on the clock, but 62, 63, 64, anywhere in there, first lap. But I really don't want to be struggling my way through the last lap, getting past just lactic. And like I said to you in the car, ideally it'd be good to have my last lap the fastest lap, but yeah, we'll see. supposed to be wearing this stride device everything I do. I wonder if I should put on my spikes. It's really light. Yeah, I will. I'll put on my spikes. I've been working with Stride for a while to gather a whole lot of data, and in July I think I'll be going into Boulder, into their office, and doing a whole lot of analysis around what they're up to. It's really interesting what they're up to. I actually won't talk too much about it because they'll share plenty in July, but it's really interesting what they're doing at Stride. And so I've pretty much worn this this device for every single run for the last, well, since I was in Boulder, which was end of March, so 2 months now. Gathering plenty of data, and I think my actually, let's have a look. I looked the other day. It actually gives you predictions in the Stride app that I think are really good. I find that the Stride predictions are better than the Garmin ones. Well, they're faster, so they're better. 4:24, so actually that's not great. Actually, the marathon says 2:23 though, which that's questionable right now. I don't think I'd run 2:23 right now. Don't do this at home. Don't wear spikes for the first time in 3 years without practicing in them. Terrible idea. I might regret it, but I was actually thinking through until a couple of days ago, this is ridiculous, I know, that I would wear ASICS Metaspeed Sky, but then I realized you're not allowed to do that.
Oh.
I don't think anyone really enforces it, but I'd rather just wear spikes and play by the rules if possible. And these would definitely be faster anyway. So funnily enough, in the one race that I've worn spikes in the last 3 years, night of 10K PBs in 2021, I didn't wear socks, and I really had a pretty severe rubbing of the spike on my shoe, on my foot, and it resulted in a whole lot of blood through there, and it actually was kind of painful in the last couple of K, and I wouldn't say it slowed me, but it wasn't fun. So yeah, I'm gonna wear socks. But I think in that race I borrowed a pair of shoes, Sebastian from the UK, a friend of mine, and they were, I think, half a size too small, which is, yeah, massive rookie error. Don't copy what I do. In fact, this is legitimately a good time to take this because it's 8:40. No, it's 9 o'clock at night. I don't really want to have a load of caffeine because I'm normally going to sleep around this time. Seriously, that was actually one concern. But this is good because there's no caffeine and it's good for energy. So have one of these before and after.
Let's go, Venezuela!
Let's fucking go.
That was awesome.
That was fun. It's hard, for sure. A little slower than I would have liked, but it's fun. I definitely feel like...
Does it surprise you?
Taking 7 seconds off that in the next couple of months is well and truly doable. I think I was 4:17, so that's okay. I was hoping for a little bit quicker, but as I said before, I kind of wanted to race it, and I feel like I raced it alright. I was just a little bit more fatigued than I thought I'd be with laps to go, but I'm proud. I felt like I executed reasonably well. I got stuck a little bit on my own pretty early on, which is no excuse for that. That's just my bad tactics, to be honest. I feel like I could have shaved even a few seconds off just by getting up, on the back of a couple of athletes after 400 meters and hopefully holding on to them, because being totally alone in a race, especially when you're running at that speed, 4:17 mile pace, which is what I ended up running, 4:17, I feel like it's, I guess you could say with any pace or any distance, it feels 1-2% easier if you're on the back of someone or in a pack or at least even in front of someone.
With the marathon and maybe a half, I'm pretty focused on getting a time.
Yeah.
In these races, time's great, but it doesn't really matter. As long as I feel like I'm in a good place with the speed.
Yeah.
And that's a decent start, to be honest. I think if I think back to when I was racing 8 and 1500, it regularly took me 5, 6, 7 races to actually start running times that I thought I was capable of. I'd normally open up with 153, 152 in the 800 and get down to 148. So yeah, I'd hope that if I ran a few more miles in the next few months, which I hope to do at least one more, I can work down to that sort of 410, which is what I'd like to be at. So
I really hope to be in as close to 14 flat 5K shape as I possibly can be at the time of that race on the 12th of July. And, you know, if I end up winning that race or placing highly in 14.12, 14.15, or even 14.18 or something like that, I think that'll tell me that, you know, I'm well and truly on track for achieving the goal that I want to achieve at the end of the year. So yeah, everything's going well so far. And I'm really looking forward to this next 6 weeks leading into the 5K, where I really have to ramp training up a little bit.
So what do you do in racing miles?
I have no idea. It's a good question.
No, it's a good idea. I think this stuff helps for the marathon.
I think it does.
It's
Yeah.
a good idea, definitely.
I was stagnant over the marathon for like 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I have to try something else.
I'm really feeling like this speed work is going to put me in a position to be much more efficient and much more comfortable at, say, 5:10, 5:12 pace, which is 2:16, 2:17 marathon pace. And yeah, I think up until this point, everything's been going well. I feel like there's still a little bit of work to do, but I think it's important to note it doesn't make much sense to me to be really fit and to be ready to go in terms of ready to race your absolute best at a point in the season that's not overly important for you. And the most important part of the season for me is October, November, December, where I'll do at least one marathon, maybe 2, maybe 3. We'll see.
How fortunate the camera's here. Oh yeah, you're in the YouTube video.
Hey, really?
Hey, really? Oh, that's so cool.
How are you going to film that?
Should I do a front flip for the video?
There you go.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Great race.